I've built a business that's done over £1.5 million in revenue, and here's what I've realised. It's the same in business as it is in life. A lot of people set goals, whether that's to lose £10, make 10k a month, or quit the 9 to 5, but their goals don't get them there. And that's because we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. And that truth is why most entrepreneurs fail. So I'm going to walk you through why we need to set systems, not goals, so that you don't fall into this goal setting trap. So just think about it. You've probably been in a situation already in your personal life where you've got a goal in mind. First of all, we need to write that goal down. That's the first thing, because goals definitely help. They increase the chances of success by 42%. But realistically, most people still fail with their goals because they don't have a proper system in place to support them. Because the difference between aspiration and wanting to achieve something and actually achieving it is not about better goal setting. You can say, just right now, you can say, I want to build a $1 billion company, and yet you won't do it unless you put in a reliable framework that will produce the results automatically. So for example, in a personal life, if you've got a goal to lose 2 stone, you can just have that goal, and unless you have a system in place to achieve that goal, it's just a dream. But if you put a system in place, and for example, you say, I'm going to meal prep every Sunday, my meals for the week, I'm going to walk 5,000 steps a day, and I'm going to stick to 2,000 calories every day, no doubt you will lose 2 stone quicker than you believe. Not because you've got the goal, but because you've got the system in place. And so business is the same. If you've got a revenue target, your revenue targets don't just create revenue. The systems that you put in place do. So stop plucking numbers out of thin air that it's so easy to do, because if you don't put the system in place that will back it up, it doesn't matter. And I've been through this process, but as soon as you shift from just chasing arbitrary numbers that you've plucked out of the air to building automated processes, that's when you'll create predictability. You know that you'll get consistent results. You can then grow scalably because you've got a system that can scale no matter the input that you put into that business. And then you've got transferability as well. You can replicate the skills that you've learned. So let's put it to a business example. Maybe you've made the goal to make 100k a month, monthly recurring revenue, and you've just set that as a goal. The goal alone isn't enough. You need to also create a system that's going to get you there. So for that, in an e-commerce sense, you need to validate demand for your products. You need to outsource and automate the repeatable tasks so that you can scale ad spend profitably until you reach your goal. But it was the system that achieves the goals. It's not the goal itself. You have to put in place the actions and the repeatable processes to get you there. And I've seen this over and over again. My results through having systems in place is that, as I say, I've generated £1.5 million in revenue. My team size is just 3 people. It's me and my 2 VAs that manage the store, because 85% of the business operations are automated. And that's how we're able to see big results. So my Google Drive looks like this. We've got SOPs, standard operating procedures, for the 3 main parts of my business. We've got a monthly larger task tracker for my VAs to complete. And then inside these folders, we've got SOPs for every operation within the business, because we've systemized getting to the goals that I've set, because everything is repeatable and not completed by me, so I can keep looking at the big picture. Because ultimately, winners and losers have the same goals. 2 people can have the exact same goal. They say they want to get to 10k a month with their e-commerce business. But the truth is this, and this is what I found out over and over again from James Clear in his book Atomic Habits. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you'll fall to the level of your systems. So take from that, the actions that you can take away is that don't worry about how big your goals or how ambitious your goals are. Think about how ambitious your systems are. What processes, what systems, what habits are you going to put in place to complete consistently that make your goals inevitable? But the uncomfortable psychological truth that we've got to actually realize is the reason why people don't get there. People want to shy away from this truth. But you just want to have ambition, you want to set a goal, feel good about yourself when you're setting goals, but then not putting in place the infrastructure that actually leads to the goals that you've got. So ambition without infrastructure will lead to frustration. So don't get trapped in that cycle of just setting bigger and bigger goals and wondering why they've not been achieved. Now, let me put in place a playbook, super actionable advice for you to take away from this video for how you can put in place systems that will scale to get you to the goals that you've got in mind. First of all, let's say it's a business goal. We want to get to 100k monthly recurring revenue with your business. It's a noble goal, but it is only a goal and it won't be achieved unless you put in place this playbook and the systems to get you there. Firstly, we need to validate demand. So whatever product it is that you're selling, we need to know that people actually want it, and we're not just trying to create a demand that isn't there already. Once you've got your demand, build an MVP, minimum viable product. I learned this from the book called The Lean Startup by Eric Ries, and he explains that you need to start testing your theory about the demand that's out there. Build a very simple, basic product and start getting it out to market. In an e-commerce sense, that would be a minimum viable Shopify store. Build something basic and then start testing it on the market. Once you've got an MVP built and you've got demand that's validated, and you can see that people are interested, we can then systemize, put in automation and outsource the repeatable tasks. And that's crucial first, and then we can scale because you've got in place the process, the system that's going to get you to those goals. But this is the harsh truth. People don't do this. Every minute wasted on a manual task is gone forever. You'll never get that back, and you're leaving money on the table. You're leaving freedom and scale on the table if you're wasting time on repeatable tasks. So this is some stats just to drive this home. So when people have hired virtual assistants, there's a 78% cost reduction of your operating costs when you hire a VA versus a traditional employee. This is why I'm so keen on virtual assistants. It's why I've got 2 in my main store, and I hire VAs for other people's businesses now as well. The next stat that's going to blow your mind is that 59% of entrepreneurs, they'll say that they can't run their business now without their VA team. That's how crucial they are. And finally, 87% of business owners report significantly more strategic time after implementing systems. So systems, 87% agree that it's going to give them more strategic time. 59% of people say that VAs now, they couldn't run their business without it, and you're going to make a cost saving of 78% so you can scale while spending less. Because the reality is nowadays, with all the options that we have, you don't need 100 employees. The old model, you used to have to hire somebody for every function in the business. You had to get office space, infrastructure. You could then grow linearly because you were waiting on the new revenue to come in to then employ more staff to take over another part of the business that's been grown. You had all this complexity. You had to be a serious operator to operate that kind of business. Nowadays, you hear about all these people that are building $1 million, even $1 billion companies with a tiny team because they can put systems in place. They can use AI, they can use virtual assistants to create the digital infrastructure and automation that gives them exponential growth. Now, take this away from this video today. Your goals don't scale, your systems do. So take the next step. Hope you've enjoyed this video, but it's only going to be valuable if you take an action from it today. This is the 3-step process that I recommend. Start documenting your current process. How are you currently operating your business? How are you currently taking in customers and delivering the desired result that that customer wants? Then identify the opportunities that you've got for automation and outsourcing. Look at the processes that you're completing from step 1. Think about which are perfect opportunities to automate and to outsource by looking at the systems and the SOPs that you've created initially. And then with those SOPs, with anything that can't be automated, hire your first VA to handle those so you can scale. So get out of your own way. Don't spend another minute wasted on tasks that can be done by somebody else so you can grow and achieve your goals through the systems that you put in place. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Take the action that you need to take. Check out the description. There's some links in there that I think you'll find useful. And with that said, I'll catch you in the next video.